Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Help with Henry. This is the YouTube channel where we offer constructive life advice to people that are struggling, as well as people who just genuinely want to get better or work through their problems. We cover all that stuff here. So today's an interesting topic. We have um, how to get out of a job you hate, and this is something that I've struggled with, as well as many people are working jobs that they don't love, and it is really important to make sure you're doing something about it and you don't let it get on top of you. So hopefully today we'll be able to cover a few points that are sort of constructive and actionable steps that you can take to start getting yourself out of the job you don't like, even though you still might be there for a while, and then getting yourself into one that you do like and living a better, happier life for that. And that is something that is, massively uh, important because you spend the majority of your life at work. You spend most people spend a minimum of 40 hours a week at work, and some people spend right up to 60, 70 hours a week completing a task. So if you're not enjoying it, it really doesn't have a great impact on your life. And if you do something you enjoy, you're going to be or massively happier than what you were in relation to when you were doing something you didn't like. So let's talk through some points and yeah, give it a go. So create an exit plan around your life commitments, and that will be get a calendar out and say to yourself, right, by in 3 months' time, or in this time next year, or in 12 months, I hope to have transitioned into a new job, and how am I going to do that? So you need to come up with a date that you're going to be hoping to leave your job. Now, everyone is in a very different situation. So let's say, for example, you work a 9 to 5 that you don't like, and you have got lots of bills like I do. It isn't so easy to just jump ship and go, yeah, I'm going straight over there once you're tied financially to outgoings every month. So you have to kind of make, you know, an adjustment, but you might not be able to just say, oh, I'm stopping on this date, and after that, I'll just start applying for new jobs. But that is something to keep in mind. Like, obviously, if you've got a really high outgoings and you're working a job you don't like, you're pretty trapped in that job. So you need to take like really drastic action to sort of get out of that job. And obviously, if you've got like children, or if you've got someone you have to care for, if you've got outgoings that are very reliant on someone else, not just yourself, and even if it is just yourself that you've got outgoings for, it still can take the majority of your income sometimes. So this is one of the harder things to get into. A job fulfillment is super difficult. If you're in a job, you've got lots of bills, you're already sort of at the end of the month, you're going, it'd be pretty hard to just stop my job tomorrow. That is where a lot of people are at. And obviously, you need to then look into, have you got any family that you can move back in with and you can restudy? Or if you've got your family, do you have a partner where you can sit down with your partner and go, well, these are our outgoings. If I do 3 days a week working, let's say you did bartending, or let's say you did waiting, or let's say you did, Amazon delivery driving, or you did something, that doesn't have a really high skill set, like a sort of job you can just kind of walk into, and within a few weeks you'd be up and running in that. I mean, not maybe not to the best of your ability, but you could earn some added income from going into like a lower skilled job for a little while. But then if you did that on a part-time basis, and then the remainder of the time you were retraining, or if you went into an apprenticeship or a trainee scheme, or you even spoke to your employer with inside your current company and said to them, I'm not happy in this current role, I would like to retrain, because some companies will genuinely pay for you to resit a new degree so you get a newer, higher paying job, or they will put you onto a training program, or at the very least, if you speak to your boss about it and you go, listen, I'm not happy in this job, um, I need something new and I want to retrain. Is there anything that you guys can offer? Because if you're good, a lot of people are decent at their job. Like, even though they don't enjoy it, they're good at it. So it's not like your boss is going to go, oh, you don't enjoy it anymore, you're fired, because they need you as much as you need them. Their business doesn't operate without you doing your job. So keep that in mind, but you need to start scheduling. I don't want to drift too far off topic here, but creating an exit plan. So you need to work around your commitments of like your family, your financial outgoings, and if you don't have a family, you need to look at how much can I save. So you might be able to say, well, in 6 months' time, I want to save £500 a month, and that is going to leave me with £3,000. And then that gives me 2 months to apply for other jobs and sort of take the leap. And then if it all goes wrong, you have to go back. But by setting yourself dates and setting yourself times, and you go, well, as long as I save X amount per month for the next 12 months, then that is going to leave me with a cushion. And in that cushion period, and then in the evenings, I'm going to either sit my new qualifications for my new job, or I'm going to apply for different jobs, or I'm going to look at where my skill set can move into a different thing. You all of a sudden you start building a bit of a roadmap and a plan, most importantly, to getting yourself out of this job that you're just working it and you hate it, and you're sat in that traffic just thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. And you need to find something new, maybe on more of a remote basis, or where you're 50% of the time at home, 50% in the office, or something that fits in around your life. Personally, I wouldn't want a full time at home job, because I like communicating with people. But a lot of people have got family commitments and they want to spend more time at home, and or there's just so much monotony in their job, and they know that they could do more. And it's really about just being brave and getting yourself out of it. But it's really tricky with careers. Um, so I'm just thinking about some potential avenues you've got. You can retrain within the current company or open uni, and you could ask for less shifts, hours, and then begin training in the other half. So this is about getting in the mindset of, I don't like my current job. Now I'm going to look into new avenues to get a job that I would prefer. So let's say you're currently working in telesales on the phone, and you no longer want to be fulfilling orders and on the phone all day, and you want to become a paramedic. Then you need to say to your current employer, I want to go down to 4 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever you can afford. And then you need to sign up to an open university course in, paramedic science or whatever it is for becoming a paramedic. And then you need to spend your remaining, if you work 3 days a week and you study 3 days a week, and then obviously all of your other commitments around this, all of your other outgoings, it might not be feasible to do 3 days a week off. But my point is that if you want to get out quick, like some of us, you realize, well, hang on a minute, I don't want to be doing this for another, it's going to be hard for me to do this for another 2 months, let alone another 2 years. Then you need to really start taking some action, which means reducing all of your outgoings. And if you've got kids, then it's going to be more difficult, because you're going to have to do on top of your time. If you've got young ones, once they're in bed, that's going to be your 3 hours, and you're going to have less sleep, and it's going to be even harder than it already is. But what's the other option? You live a life which you don't enjoy. 90, for all of the time each week that you're at work and you're not enjoying it, and you're going to let that, sacrifice those extra 2 hours sleep or 1 hour sleep and get yourself out of there, because otherwise your life is really going to deteriorate in your overall happiness within it. So you've got to push hard and push deep and say to myself, right, I'm going to retrain and speak to my boss. I'm going to reduce my shift pattern. I'm going to reset a new degree. I'm going to contact 5 employers a week that have got a training program. I'm going to set alerts on searches on job tracking websites to say if a trainee position comes up in this, or I'm going to set aside an hour per day or half an hour per day to look into a new career that I might be more fulfilled in. Because a lot of people don't want to take the leap of going from, well, I'm working my current job and I'm working my current thing, but I know I don't enjoy this, but I don't know what I want to go into either. And I definitely don't want to, waste all the time and effort I've put into this job, jump into another one and then not be happy in that one either. So you have to, you don't want to rush either. You want to make a real qualified decision. You want to look into every single little avenue you can, and you want to look down all of those routes. And then once you've come down to your top three, then work down that filtering process and go, well, out of those top three, which one is most likely? And then you're like, well, I kind of rule that one out because it's, the course is 7 years and I cannot do that around my kids at the moment. And maybe if I've got another 5 years down the line, I will have a bit more time and then I can retrain in that. But just making like a really solid, qualified decision, you look down to your new avenues. But I think a lot of people know deep down, I think they know what they would be good at. And sometimes it's a relatively easy fix. You can say, well, listen, I've earned some money in this, I've done okay. It's fed me, it's put a roof over my head, and now I want to move into something I find more fulfilling and I think my personality would be better suited to. Because if everyone did this, it's not like everyone would leave their job and then there wouldn't be anyone left to do their job. But in the past, it just means someone else who enjoys that job more will then move back into that. So it would mean that everyone would be more fulfilled in the work they do, and then the output would be better. They'd be more willing to do better work, because work is a large, proportion of the majority of people's lives on this planet. So you've got to make sure you do it, especially in you know really Western cultures where you actually are very lucky to begin with, but you have a lot of choice and there's a lot of avenues to retrain, and stuff like the Open University and stuff like training programs and getting in a back door through volunteering on the weekends. It's having that absolute attitude of, I'm going to find something new and then I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to do that by setting myself dates, reducing my financial outgoings each month, making sure I do something very intentional about saving, and I'm going to save up X amount. And then after I've saved that amount, I'm going to take the leap. And then once I've taken the leap, I'm going to work really hard for that first year, harder than I ever have done before, just to get yourself some traction again in your new job, get yourself retrained, get yourself into something that you're enjoying more. And a lot of time, people, there's a lot of people out there that have spent ages at university and then they get into a job and they're like, well, I don't like the job. And it's like, well, you're not wasting your time by going to university, because you've learned how to study, you've learned how to complete exams. You know within reason that you can sit another 3 years somewhere else, and then 5 years down the line, there's not a single career which you can't achieve really in 15 years. So if you're the majority of people, that means even if you're 45 and you train for a decade at 55, then you've still got 10 years, because nobody really retires before 65 anymore unless they've been extremely financially successful, or they've got, inherited a lot. The majority of people are working until 65 plus now. And that means that really in a decade you can get really good at something again, and it's those first few years, that leap and that fear of failure that holds people back. So really try hard in that. um and yeah, this is a very hard thing to do, fear of failing new job and coming back, because the thing is, And this ties in well with this: don't seek too much guidance, trust yourself to make the right decision. So obviously your partner, your spouse, um, you want to sit down with them and actually, if that partner really loves you, then there's a good chance that they'll be like, do you know what, I'll work an extra week, you take an extra day a week, and then you work um 2 days less a week, and we'll cut our costs over here, and then that will free up 3 days for you per week to study, to get yourself trained in a new job. And if they really love you and they're really passionate about the family and stuff, then they'll do that. They'll make that sacrifice for you, because ultimately your partner wants you to be happy. Well, as long as you're in the right relationship, your partner wants you to be happy, and is the majority of the time willing to sacrifice to help you achieve that. Um, but the reason I say don't consult too much with peers around you and stuff is because the people that are in your job, or the people that sit next to you in your current one, they won't want you to leave, because there's a chance that they might be happy doing that job, or there's a chance that they might be unhappy doing it, but they're too scared to retrain or make the sacrifice of, because it is really difficult to go and say, well, now on top of my current work week, I've now got to make time to sit a degree or go to training courses on the weekend, or I'm going to have to commit 2 hours a night to studying to make sure I've got the qualifications, or I've now got to make time to go to new job interviews or to call new employers. That is a difficult thing. And if you start asking your peers around you, they're going to be like, don't change, don't do that, because that'll make them feel like, oh my God, why are they changing, type thing. And you don't want that burden as well on top of all of this. So you get what I'm saying. Keep it between your spouse, keep it between your close family. If you don't think you're getting good advice, or also if the people that you're asking for advice from aren't fulfilled in their career or aren't happy in their career, then don't take any advice from them. Go and find someone that's happy in their career, or go and find someone that's retrained, that you deem to be successful in what you want to get into, and go and speak to them. Don't speak to like the person on your left, because they'll just turn around and say, don't change, stay where you are, stay unhappy. But you've got to put yourself first. And it doesn't mean you're going to lose, relationships with everyone you work with. If they're good friends, they'll stay with you. But it just means that, you're going to be so much happier. Your income's probably going to increase. You'll do better work. And even if you have to take an income decrease, right? It's not all about income. If you're making um £50,000 a year here, and you're making 35 here, but your happiness of the £35,000 job is through the Richter scale, then work the 35k job and screw the 50k, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because what matters is that what you're doing all day long is something that you're fulfilled by. Don't let it, because so many people work a job they hate, which means that they feel bad, which means that they eat more food, they get themselves in worse condition, they start hurting themselves, and they start increasing their outgoings, and they become more and more trapped, and and it becomes a really vicious cycle. So be brave. I believe in you. Hopefully you take something from this. And yeah, that's all I've got for you today. But we'll talk more about this, because getting in a job that you love, you've got to imagine this is a nice way to finish. 5 years' time, you've gone through all that hardship, you've sat down with your partner, you've worked late in the evenings, you've retrained, and you enjoy that job, and you haven't fallen flat on your face, and it's been hard, but you've got there. Picture that in your mind. Don't picture you going off and failing and falling flat on your face and walking back into your old employer. So really think to yourself, I'm going to do everything I can to get out of this. And then 5 years' time, you're on your holiday with your family, you've got a job you're enjoying, you've got more flexible hours, it's more suited to your lifestyle. Hopefully, you're earning more money, and you'll just be happier in general, but only because you've sat down and gone, I'm going to make a change. And you start by getting yourself some structure in there, and taking action towards getting it done. So yeah, thank you very much.